Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day. My name is Kenneth Ray Coleman Jr. Don't forget the Junior. And you are tuned in to the Let's Talk About It podcast. We are on episode number six. Episode number six. We're getting on up there, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go with it. All right, we got a special guest to the building. I mean, someone who is, let me, first of all, I'm going to say, I only bring amazing people on the platform. So this is no exception. She is an amazing person, an amazing light, has an amazing smile, a life coach. Um, I was able to be on her platform. I've known of her a little bit before that. And when I was introduced to her, I said, oh man, I got to get her. I got to get her. So please, y'all, welcome the amazing Marquita Dorsey to the Let's Talk About It podcast. We're going to get them sound effects one day. Thank you.
I'm like,
Woo!
turn it up. What's that? Turn me up. Like
Okay,
Drake said,
turn up, turn up,
Well,
turn the
thank you,
lights
Ken,
on.
for allowing me in this space. Again, I am Marquita Dorsey, mental health advocate and coach. I'm excited to be here, and I'm definitely excited about today's topic of being enough. I'm excited about it. So thank you for the invitation. And thank you for the intro. I almost felt like I should have went got somebody and be like, he's talking about you. But then you said my name, so I figured it was me.
You know, hey, don't think you're not enough because you more. I just gave them the brief introduction part of it. That ain't even none of the adjectives, the accolades, and nothing like that. I just gave you the little stuff, the generic stuff. You know what I'm saying? You Kroger brand. You know what I'm saying? You ain't that Aldi stuff. No
Look, the
diss on
irony is
Aldi.
I
No
just
diss on
worked for
Aldi.
Kroger.
Said it again.
The irony of I just finished working for Kroger.
Okay, Kroger. What it do? So this episode is I Am Enough. The backstory of this is learning to know you're enough when you're not feeling like you're enough. And so let's go ahead and tackle that. Let's go ahead and dive into this little turkey dinner. You know what I'm saying? No, this chicken dinner with the sweet baby ray sauce. That's my favorite right there. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, sweet baby.
Ooh, sweet. Okay, don't. Okay. I don't get me excited. All right, y'all see the video. Y'all okay? I'm cheesing over here. Don't talk about sweet baby ray sauce. Okay, so let's go ahead and how would you define not being enough?
I would define not being enough as a mindset or a thought process of thinking that because you don't have something, you're not enough. And pretty much, I guess in short, not accepting yourself wholeheartedly, flaws and all, flaws and
Okay.
all. Like whatever comes with being you, not accepting that, thinking of yourself is not enough.
I could deal with that. I like that. This is something that I personally deal with. When I think of not being enough, I think of it as is someone or something not having the quality to be or to do something. And so a lot of times that starts with the mental, as you said, and I always say whatever you are internally will manifest itself in the physical.
Absolutely.
So if I
Absolutely.
feel or if I think that I'm not enough, it's automatically going to show physically in the manifestation. So that's a great
And we,
definition. I like that.
and we can take that to scripture, right? So a man
Amen.
thinks in his heart, so is he. You know,
Mm. Don't,
that's
don't
where the
take me
root
to
of it
church.
is.
Don't take me to church. I ain't got my
I'm
tithe
good
and
in Baptist
offering
now. I'm good in Baptist.
right. So what's a misconception about being enough?
Pretty much, kind of going back to what you just said. Uh, thinking that you don't have something. A lot of times when people think they don't have something, it's based on somebody else. Anytime that you think that you're not enough, you're really again not totally accepting who you are and all that you are. um, and the misconceptions that you got to have like money and cars and clothes, certain degrees, or even in a certain body type, right? That's one thing that we have to realize. Everybody's body type is what it is. Some people, I have a cousin, she eats all day. Ain't gonna gain no weight. I look at a cookie and boom, you know, but me looking at the cookie and gaining a little weight, I'm still enough. Her eating all day and not gaining weight, she's still enough, because like we said in the beginning, whatever you think about yourself will manifest in your life physically.
Super facts. I think one of the misconceptions about being enough, I think people look at that as arrogance, cockiness. Um, and for me, they just don't look at it as self-confidence. And the reason I say it is because people, try to throw that label out on me often because I'm my biggest cheerleader. Like
Absolutely.
can't nobody tell Kenneth Ray Coleman ain't you know what I'm saying? Ain't him
You
ain't.
better say it.
I don't hey, I tell anybody all day, you'll find somebody who has more accolades, who has more degrees, they make more money, they title, position, but you ain't gonna meet nobody that's gonna make you feel like it.
That's
That
right.
gives you that vibe, and people look at that as cockiness, and I say, no, it's confidence because if you knew where I started from, because it was at one time that I didn't have confidence to even say that. Like I was trying to obtain the money, the status, the all these titles and positions because I didn't feel like that. And so I think that's one of the misconceptions. Like it ain't cockiness for me. It's not arrogance because cockiness is me tearing other folks down for to make me look good.
Absolutely.
I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that I know that I shine bright and we can light up the stars. Like stars,
That's
millions,
it.
hundreds of stars can all light up and still be dope as heck, still
That's
shine.
it. And a misconception is saying I can't say those things about myself. So don't let nobody tell you can't tell you how awesome you are. I have a poster on my wall at work that says, "No one else is you," and that's your superpower.
Amen. And I wish people would know that. I wish people would know that. And I think we're gonna. I told you sometimes we just veer off. You know what I'm saying?
It'll happen.
And I think sometimes we use that as a weapon, though. We use that as a weapon because we have so many people that enable us to do bullcrap. They
Mhm.
enable us not to activate who God created us to be. Instead, we're okay with being who we are in this season, in this moment. And I'm like, nah, you better than that. Like you greater than that. You wasn't created to be that. Your trauma or your scars and your wounds made you who you are today, but that's not who you were created to be.
Not at all. I had a pastor friend of mine some years ago called me out on humility. And when he got through explaining it, he was like, what it actually is false humility. And it's like I said earlier, if you're on this earth as awesome and fearfully and wonderfully made as you are, bearing the image of Christ, having the
Mhm.
greater down on the inside of you, and you're acting like you can't overcome the things. Let me clean up my terminology. You're allowing yourself to sit in the challenges that were meant to build you up, and you're allowing them to take you down. Then no, you're not doing your best. That is not humility. That is not, standing still and standing firm in who God called you to be. And I know a lot of times humility has gotten all kinds of good and bad names. And sometimes I think we have a real big misconception about humility, which could also be the culprit in people thinking that they're not enough.
Right,
Well,
right.
I'm too cocky, like you said, I'm too arrogant. No, that's not the case. So you feel like you got to lower yourself and lower your standards, and even to the point of not coming up to your full potential. I don't
Right.
want to make nobody else look bad, so I'm just gonna stay right here where I am. Well, I don't want my family to be looked at me some kind of way. Listen, I'm gonna be the example. You either
Mhm.
follow it or you don't. I'm
Right.
gonna be the example. So that's I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay. We because we can stay there for a long time.
Yeah,
So we just
I'm
gonna
gonna leave it there.
yes, Lord, untie my bow tie. Glory be to God. So, okay, we talked about a misconception for being enough. What's a misconception of not being enough?
The misconception of not being enough is that the negative having a limiting belief. Sometimes we don't believe we're enough because somebody said it, or because of where we're from, or because what we have, or even what we don't have. I was thinking about, as I was preparing in my mind for this conversation, some people have access to a lot of stuff and they still have limited thoughts, because what we
Mhm.
don't recognize is how people understand or their perspective of what they're experiencing. And I'm gonna say Ja Morant because that was the example in my head. People, I don't really know this baby's backstory, but like they saying, he came from a two-parent household. went to a good school in a good neighborhood. He's in the NBA, all of those things, he should feel like he's enough. But none of that matters clearly to whatever he's dealing with internally. So there definitely could be a misconception that somebody may have thought he was enough. You just don't know what people are dealing with because of what you see on the outside, or even because of how people show up sometimes. Just don't know.
I like how you said how people show up, because I was preparing, for this conversation also, and I was looking at the interview of Miss Jackson, the dude who,
Oh,
Derrick
Danae
Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was listening to her interview, and she was saying how when she made that video with the hair bonnet or the hairpiece or whatever she had on, she was going through so much.
Mm,
One of the misconceptions about not being enough is people don't know the hell that you're going through when you show up. And sometimes in that moment, that's all you have, and you still have to be the person that everybody knows you to be. That's why I love this thing that all people periodically put it on, and they say, check on your strong friends. A lot of times we don't check on our strong friends because we always feel like they're supposed to be strong whenever I see them. And
yeah,
so showing up, the misconception is just like, you don't know the hell that I had to go through just to be in this moment right now. And so you have so many people demonizing, talking bad, talking down about what they would do if they was in that situation. And that's
mhm.
another misconception. You can have all the materialistic things you want in the world and still feel like you're not enough. Still
Still feel
know
like
that you are not enough.
still feel like it. If you listen to a lot of those celebrity interviews, and when they get personal and when they get down to it and they talk about it, they got the fame, people wishing they had their life and they just wishing they could just go home and have peace and quiet sometimes. Because some of them still struggle with how they look physically and how they, feel internally. You just don't know. You just don't know. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. It's tough out here. It's tough.
I don't know who wrote it, but Terrence Mann said in the movie, it's hard out here for a pimp. It's hard out
Trying
here
to
for
put the
people.
brick. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't it, man? You know what I'm saying? And so I think like we want grace and mercy, but we're so selective in who we give it to.
Say that.
Like we want forgiveness, but we are selective in who we give it to. Like we want empathy and sympathy, but we are so selective when we give it. I tell this story, one of my favorite movies. And I'm just an open book. I tell it like it is. I was going through a divorce, 3-year process. We ain't had nothing. We ain't had no land, no nothing. But we in it for 3 years. Bukus of money I'm spending. That's a whole nother story. But
Yeah.
in the midst of that, I looked at Pursuit of Happiness, and I
Mm,
saw the end of it when he said, when Will Smith finally got the job, and the guy said, "Was it as easy as you made it look?" And Will Smith in that moment said, he thought about all the hell that he went through, and tears coming down his eyes, and he said, "No, sir." And I was able to relate to that because people still expected Kenneth to be the nice guy, even though he's going through a divorce, even though nobody is helping me through my divorce. Nobody is asking me how my divorce is going, but they still want you to be that nice guy. They still want you to speak life into them. They still want you to
right.
do all this. And I'm like, I felt that because
Right.
the way that I show up, if you knew what it took for me to show up, because I had to go to counseling to be the best father that I could in the midst of a divorce because I wasn't good. Because
Absolutely.
the trauma, the wounds, the scars consumed me so much, I started becoming that.
Yeah.
And so when people show up, I'm like, sometimes I think, and I think it's a blessing from God, but sometimes I don't look at how people look. I see how they are.
Mm. Come on now.
So somebody could be walking in a room and smiling, and I'm like, how you really doing? Because I know that's
How
a
are you
facade.
really
Like,
doing?
how are you doing and feeling today?
Yeah.
Like when I send that out to my folks, like that ain't no random text that I send to everybody. It's no, I'm asking, how are you doing and feeling? Like, because you are special. Like, don't give me no politically correct answer. Tell me what's up. All right, I'm done.
I
I'm
had
sorry.
to, I had to clean that up myself. And that was the thought that had got away from me, like as it relates to showing up and that whole strong friend thing. Of course, I was a strong friend. And it wasn't even because I chose to be that. Life presented itself that way, and I had to keep going with life. But 2 years ago, I made a choice in my strength to make open or present or make seen the moments that I felt weak.
Mm,
And so I began to verbally express to my friends, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. Because a part of being enough is knowing and saying that I need support too.
right.
I need support too. And so sometimes, that misconception is that because I'm the strong friend, I can't ask for support. I can't ask for help. People should just know. No, they shouldn't. Because sometimes you don't even know.
Yeah.
The first time my friend asked me, what do I need? I was like, for real, for real? I don't know. I didn't know what I could delegate to somebody else for my life because I'm used to taking care of me all on my own the way that I know how to do it. So somebody's true, and these are friends who mean it. So if I say what I need, these are friends who are going to come through. I had to sit with that thing for a minute to say, what do I need? What can I allow in this space? Because I am enough to give all this love, to give all this support. I am enough to receive it as well. So that really was a big thing for me. That was a big thing for me.
You sure know what to say. I like that. I man, can you give an example of what not being enough looks like?
I want to I want to go to the relationship space
Okay.
because it's been one of the prevalent spaces in conversation that I've had to have. Not feeling like or not believing that you deserve a man or a woman, a partner who's going to be patient with you, a partner who's going to allow you to become safe in the space that you guys are in. I'm speaking from personal experience with that. I didn't feel like that I could verbalize exactly what I needed from this man who wanted to be in my space.
Mm,
And so knowing that I'm enough, and then seeing the trauma, not because I want to be careful. Again, we're using these words so loosely. Seeing the disconnect that it actually caused in our relationship just because I didn't verbalize, you know, what I know I needed because I internally did not feel like I was enough, you know, had us going probably longer than we should have. And then two, it didn't give him a fair opportunity in the beginning to say, yes, I can provide this for you, or no, I cannot.
I don't want to skip ahead, but you said something that is just how did you okay, we'll talk about that later because I don't want to get ahead of myself because oh Lord have mercy, this is this therapeutic,
Come
you
on,
know what I'm saying? So I apologize. This is my safe haven. So
oh,
please
I
forgive.
understand. Oh, I understand.
How important is healing to allow? No, let me take that back. I don't want to ask that question. We're talking about what is the difference between feeling like you're enough and knowing that you're enough.
You know how sometimes in the music you hear these rappers sing all these songs, and then you learn the lyrics and you start singing it too. I know I deserve this. I'm enough for that. I should have this. I should have that. And then in real life, not a lot of things about your life present as if you believe what you just said.
Right.
You don't show up in your professional space believing that you are enough for the raise, believing that you are enough for the current position that you have. It's not even all about having a raise sometimes or moving up. The position that you applied for or approved for, you have to show up. But there are some times you feel like, well, maybe I'm not the one, maybe I shouldn't be in this space. Your action don't show up, or you don't prepare yourself to do well or to flourish in that space. And that can be any space at that point. I am enough, but I won't eat well enough for my body to get what it needs to serve me well. I feel like I'm enough. I'm saying I'm enough, but my actions are not proving that I truly believe I am enough. I say I'm enough. I feel like I'm enough, but I date below, well below my means of intentions or my means of desires and need. And so sometimes for the insecurities, you will get somebody that you absolutely know. And again, I don't mind putting myself on the front line. You know you don't like that person. You know you're not finna marry them. You know you're not finna be with them. But you'll get in that conversation. You'll be like, I just believe that I should have this and I believe I should have that. But you're telling it to a man that you know either can't give it to you or won't give it to you. And that's the difference. When you with your girlfriends, y'all having these conversations about, what men should do, what you want, what should happen. And then when you are actually in the situation, you don't show up that way.
You sure know what to say. Where my Pepsi at? Lord have mercy.
Not the Pepsi.
It's one of them conversations. Because I even like currently, I still struggle with not feeling like I'm enough. The difference between feeling like you're enough and knowing you're not enough, feelings are based on your circumstances and situations. It's based on your right now, what I could see, what I could feel, what my environment is. And that's why one of the things that I had to learn in counseling is that you have to really understand this concept. Sometimes your feelings aren't reality.
They are.
So I should not react off of my feelings until I know what it's about. The difference between feeling and knowing, feelings is based on my circumstances and situations. What I know is based on the knowledge that I have on the subject, which will allow me to use the wisdom in acting in it.
That's it.
So a lot of times we don't take knowledge into who we date, who we have friends with. We give them titles and positions, and we don't know anything about them. But because how they make us feel in the current moment, we finna make them bae, husband, wife, jump off. We finna do all these things.
The
And so,
status.
amen, amen. And it's not until you really know what knowledge do you have on this person, what knowledge do you have, and that's the difference.
Yeah, that's true. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lord. Let the church
You
say
better get
amen.
down. You better get down in there. You better
Yes,
get
Lord.
down in there.
Get on, girl. Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But so feelings and what we know. We live in a society that puts more emphasis on how we feel about something. That's why we don't really know anything about certain things. And so, how do we recondition our minds and our hearts to not act off of how we feel when we're feeling like we're not enough?
I was in a workshop the other day called Crucial Conversations. And one of the things, the chapters that I had to do was writing your story. When we experience things, we write a story about that experience, how it made us feel, all of those things. When you are in a situation, one of the first things you can do is like take a deep breath.
Mm.
We really don't always understand the value of being able to take a deep breath in a moment before you make a decision based on how you feel. Because again, like you just said, the way you feel isn't always the facts. Like you go to a car lot, and this is the car I want. I just feel it. I feel like I look good in it. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to be over your budget.
Amen.
Well, I
Amen.
can make it where I feel like I can make it. It's over your budget. And so one of the first things you can do is take a deep breath, center yourself, focus on the present and where you are now, and then know the facts. Before you even go to the car lot, before you even get in a relationship, you have to know who you are, what you're looking for in this car or in this relationship or in this job, in this ministry, whatever you're getting ready to connect yourself to. You have to have the knowledge, like you have to do the research. And a lot of times the research where we need to start, the place we need to start the research is on ourselves. We don't know who we are for real, for real. So the misconception or feeling like I'm not enough can absolutely overtake all of us because I don't know who I am. You know, I've lived my life for over 20 years off the perception, conception, the thoughts of other people. Because, you know, sometimes it's almost frowned upon to go inside yourself and find out what makes you you. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But how do I not do that and still want to go out into the world and show up in a successful way in a relationship with somebody else or being with somebody else? So take a deep breath, know the facts before you make a choice, because your feelings are going to change again. You know, at the end, once you make this decision, you could go from real excited to real depressed or real sad because you didn't make an appropriate choice. I ain't gonna even say a bad choice. You didn't make an appropriate choice, you know, and you went based on your feelings. Feelings last for a moment, they change, but the fact.
I think that's one of the dope things about reconditioning your mind is that, I love that take a moment, just breathe. And that's one of the ways that you can stop not reacting off feelings and, act on the logic in a situation. I think one of the hardest things that it's a must to recondition our mind is that we got to heal. But I think before we get to healing, too many of us don't have honest conversations with ourselves, because it's a difference. Like, I think a lot of times, and I'm just giving people the benefit of that. I think we have truthful conversations all day. The truth is based on your own bias answer or opinion of something. So that's why you hear people say, "This is my truth. This is
Yeah,
my whatever." They
yeah,
use that. I'm real. I listen to people, but being honest is when I can come to you and give you an unbiased opinion about something, or when I can, quote unquote, when I can overshare something about the subject that we're talking about. So, in order for people to realize that they have to heal, they first have to realize that they're broken, or they're what's the word? Broken, have a scar, unhealed in an area. And that level of vulnerability, we don't really give to ourselves. That's a gift that we don't give to ourselves. So how can I give it to somebody else? And
true.
so, yeah, I'm
Goes
saying that's
back
the
to what I
challenge.
just said, you know, knowing ourselves, taking time with ourselves. And that's one of the things, me personally, I'm grateful for this space in my life I get a chance to do. I became a mother at 18. Before then, I became uh, a support to my mother, who became a single parent, you know, so I had to help her with my brothers. There was no time for me. And not
Mm,
only was there no time for me, there were no tools for me.
mm,
Even knowing how to look within, knowing how to assess who I am, and all, my family line, we didn't have it. You know, nobody could say, come here and sit down and do this and do that and go within. Like, existentially, in my line, we're givers. Like, we give all outside of ourselves, and to the point of burnout. And now you're mad, and you know you're even more broken because you feel like everybody has taken from you. Well, they've taken what you've given, you know, and you've not left anything for yourself. And that's why the whole "you can't pour from an empty cup" thing is so important. I'm not gonna give you, I can't give you what I don't have. And if I do give you something, it's something that I can either afford to lose or that I can afford to give you, so I don't go without by giving you what you need, you know, and we both can benefit from it. And that's just honest. If I can't do it, I'm a, honestly, I can't do it. I can't do it.
and that's why it's so important that we have to recondition our minds and our hearts, because we have to redefine things that works for us. I
I did
I,
write that down.
I tell my daughters already. I said, here's the key in how to make a relationship work. This is daughter father relationship. As a father, you are my number one priority. In return, I should be your number one priority. So we never have to think about each other because we're always replenishing each other. And
Hmm.
that's the same thing it needs to be in relationships, but we're not taught that. We're taught to get what I can, how I can, for as long as I can, and I might change, or I might heal, or I might do it based on conditions. And so we don't even like that's why genuine people get ate up in this world, because they don't really believe in genuineness. So that recondition changing your whole mindset, like your whole concept of life. You have to change.
Yeah, letting go of things, belief systems that no longer serve you. Uh, a guy friend of mine had told me that a couple of years ago, and when he told me, I resisted even that statement. Because I'm like, hold on now, this is who I am. This is how I became who I am. How you gonna tell me to let go? But then as I began to sit with that and walk through life in that, I realized some of those things, it just didn't work anymore. It's just, and that's okay, right? We should be evolving. We should be growing, and there are things that should fall off. There are things that should fall off, so that we can add new things to it. But because if you don't make space for anything new by keeping all the old stuff, you don't grow for one, and you don't get to experience this journey, because it's a journey, man. It's not, things change every day. It's a journey.
And I think like we're so used to coasting and just existing in life that we never are put in we're no we're never accepting of situations and environments of how God created life to be. Because a lot of us spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically are walking around like Ray Charles. God's blessings are all around us, but we can't see
Literally.
it because we're so blinded by our trauma. We're blinded by our triggers. We're blinded by the hate, the resentment of everything that happens to us. And we're just walking around like Ray Charles. And then we go to God and say, well, God, I've been praying for this for this long, and why you ain't do this? And he said, I've
Yeah,
been gave
yeah.
you that, but you ain't accepted. God is not forceful.
He's not. I'm reading Exodus 14. I don't know, TikTok be, doing what it do. And this girl said, read Exodus 14 for 7 days. Like before you get out of the bed, before you do anything. And I was like, you know what? I mean, it ain't gonna hurt. It's the scripture. And so I've been doing that. And then certain parts have just now starting, are coming into play for me. And then when they were going across the sea, and then they thought they were gonna die. And then Moses called out to God, and God was like, what you calling me for? Tell the
Mm.
people to go forward. And I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart. Once they go through the water, then he's going to bring the water back together, and they were going to drown. You know, God has already said what he said concerning our lives on this earth. We got it. We have it. And that right there in itself says, I am enough. My father already said what he said to me. And so we crying out to God, and God, he's talking about, what you calling on me for? Do what I told you to do. Do what you know to do. And I am enough gives you that tenacity, if you
Yeah.
will. It gives you that confidence. It gives you that courage, because he said, don't be afraid. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Whatever you're facing, if you got to say that scripture as many times as you need to, till you believe what you're saying and what you're feeling, you do just that. But I was just like, when I read it this morning, and that's the one that's been sticking out all day, it was like, what you calling on me for?
Mm-hmm.
Tell the people to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I already have the plan. I already know what's going to happen. Y'all just keep going. Moses may have gotten nervous and scared because now the people complaining and fussing, but God is like, what? Keep going. And in that I am enough, when Satan is doing what he's doing, the enemy is doing what he's doing, or even the inner you, because sometimes that's our biggest enemy, the inner me. And it's because I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting myself when I should be paying attention to myself. You know,
And I
remember what he said.
Yeah, and I think we have to realize that, feeling like we're enough it's an internal struggle
Mm-hmm.
that we start entertaining people that are going to activate that struggle, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're not careful, if we never have an honest conversation with ourselves, we start believing what people say about us, what people put us in situations. Because I tell people this all the time, like often I feel like, based on my circumstances and situations, that I'm not a man, that I'm not a good father, I'm not a good friend, I'm not all these things. Like these are based on my circumstances and situations. And every once in a while, I have to look up and say, uh, "Am I sure I'm not that?"
Okay.
Because everybody can't be like putting you in a situation, and it'll make you go crazy if you don't know who you were created to be. And so that's the struggle. Like, but being honest, can you be honest? Like some people, and I say this last thing, some people it's not a struggle because it's their normal.
Yeah. Oof.
Meaning they have
Mm.
adapted that and that's their everyday life. But for me, it's a struggle because I know the work that I have put in to be a man. I know the work that I put in to be a father. I know what I'm putting in to be all these other things. And just because I say this last thing, what I learned in counseling is that don't take it personal how people treat you.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal what people say to you because they're dealing with their own stuff. And
Absolutely.
most times it's projecting
Yep.
what their struggle is off on you. So don't take it personal. I'm done. I'm sorry.
That's good though. That's good. And somebody asked why we got to go to counseling. You wouldn't know that had you not gone. You wouldn't even have the proper terminology. You wouldn't even know how to protect yourself in coming relationships,
Right.
family relationships, whatever. You wouldn't know how to protect yourself from people's projection had you not started going to counseling. And again, I am enough to receive the help and support that I need working through my own thoughts. I deserve to go through my own thoughts and fulfill myself with the thoughts that are good for me. Having a plan that casts down those things that don't serve me well. We don't have a plan for that. We let those thoughts come up because some people like you don't supposed to talk to yourself. Let me tell you something. Me, I'm gonna have a conversation with Marquita, okay? Because like you said, it's an honest conversation, girl. Let me tell you who you are. Let me remind you. And my daddy used to do that for me. So let me remind you who you are. And sometimes, because we learn to isolate when we're going through things, nobody even knew the trenches we got pulled out of but us and God.
Right,
Because we
right.
isolated ourselves. So why wouldn't I remind Quita of coming out of the deepest hole I had ever been in? Why wouldn't I remind Quita, of walking away from a man that you thought would be the best thing since sliced bread, but you chose you because it wasn't the man that was going to serve you in a relationship? Why wouldn't I talk to me? I
Yeah.
talk to me.
When I say that when I started realizing that I was enough, knowing that I got talked about more than I was when I felt like I wasn't enough. Because when you start knowing that you're enough, then you start putting boundaries and expectations in your life.
Oh,
And I was I don't even know what you want to call it, but I just say I was dating somebody at the time and I was getting into the groove of realizing who I was, what I was about. And so I never forget it. No. Lettucey, Raheem Devine, and Leela James was at the Orpheum Theater. So I at the drop of a dime, I just went. I was like, let me go because that's my safe haven. That's my getaway. And so I was telling the person that I was dating, I was like, man, I'm finna go to this concert. And they was like, who goes to a concert by themselves, especially a dude? I said, somebody who ain't waiting on somebody to put a smile on their face and heart. Like,
okay.
and she was like, well, why you ain't take me? I said, because of that exact reason. Why would I give you a great experience and you think like that? Like, I
Wow.
was, and that's what I'm saying. Like, people will talk about you when you have those boundaries and expectations. Like, something is wrong with you. Like, that's
Yeah.
stupid. That's dumb. Okay, let me be
To
dumb.
you. Look, to you, I had a
Mhm.
good time. I went to my first concert, my first solo concert, and I think it was actually my first concert. The Legends of Southern Hip Hop was at the Soto.
Mm.
Juvenile and Mystical, all those people. And the original plan was to go to Florida to visit my friend from college, but those plans fell through. And I was like, well, I got to do something for the weekend. I bought a ticket to the Legends of Southern Hip Hop. I went by myself. My homeboy was like, I ain't never heard of no girl going to a concert by herself. Listen, ain't nobody to go with me. I was gonna be out of town anyway. I want to go to the show. I got the money. I'm paying for them. I went to had time of my life.
Yeah.
Time of my life. I'll go to the movies by myself. I'll go out to eat by myself. I'll go sit at the pool on the porch. Listen. If I want to go, I will go, and I'm so glad that I got to that place. Again, saying I feel like I'm enough, but my actions weren't lining up. Doing what I know I want to do because I believe I'm enough, then my actions start lining up. If I believe that I deserve a good time, then guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna plan and book me a good time. You want to go, come. If you don't, I'll tell you how it was when I get back.
And for me, I don't even send no invites, man.
Nah,
Cause,
yeah.
cause, cause for me, like I gotta worry about you and my safe haven. Like for me, like when I go to concerts, live music, that's my safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want to have to worry about catering to someone else when it's my therapy session.
Yeah.
Like, so no,
I'll tell you when I come back. Yeah, and I'm glad, and I'm glad you know those things about yourself. Like you said, those honest conversations that work. And you said how important is healing in this process. This is what it looks like in this process. So now you're not on Facebook making statuses saying ain't no good people out here to hang out with. You a good person to hang out with. You
what
hang
you
out
say?
with you. You go to a spot where people who are like-minded, because if y'all are all in the same place, y'all all enjoy this one thing for sure. You'll meet somebody there, have a good time. We meet there every Tuesday. We meet there every Thursday, whatever the case may be. But, accepting yourself wholeheartedly for everything that you are, even the things that you may not be or think you aren't. Because the truth is, we're not perfect. You don't have it all, whatever it all looks like. There are some things I simply cannot do. I don't care how I try or whatever. I just can't do them. But that doesn't mean that I'm not enough. There are some things I do really well. You know, I'm still enough due to that fact as well. Whether I can do it good, bad, whatever, I am enough because who I am is not always tied to the things that happen outside of me. It's because of what's inside of me, the things that do happen outside. Because so making sure I know who I am from the inside internally, yeah, proves I am enough.
Amen. And one thing I did have to realize, and this is me redefining things for myself, like I had to redefine and say, it's okay not to be enough. Because I had to realize that for an unhealthy person, I'm not enough for you, boo boo.
Ooh, come on.
For
Step.
an unhealed environment, I'm not enough for you. And so when I started learning when people talk about me and say things about me, I ask them spiritually and mentally and emotionally, cite your source. And if
Come
your source is coming from an unhealed place, I ain't listening to what you're saying.
on, cite your source.
I'm not taking heed to what you're saying because you already in a messed up situation. So you can't see me. You can look at
Mm.
me. Hey, anybody can look at me and say three things. I'm tall, slim, and handsome. That's it.
Come
But when
on.
you see me, do you see that I have a genuine heart? Do you
Yeah,
see that I will go to the ends of the earth to make sure that you're happy? So at least I'm gonna make sure that you're gonna cross the street to make sure I'm good.
that's it.
Can you
That's
see
it.
these things? And if you can't see it, that's okay. I'm not gonna talk about you. I'm not gonna say nothing about you. My preference and what I like, my standards in life is what I want.
And
And if
that's that.
if the Bible, we're gonna bring the Bible in, and then I'm gonna ask you these few questions. I'm gonna let you go. But if the Bible says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart," meaning when I become pleasing in God's eyesight, the desires of my heart will change. It will be more Christ-like
Uh-huh.
to give Him to be able to give the glory. So when I get married again, that's gonna be pleasing in God's eyesight.
That's it.
And so why would I settle for some bull crap? Why would I dumb down the desires of my heart when I did so much work to be pleasing in God's eyesight? That don't make
Uh,
sense.
Snap it up. Come on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Listen, I did the work. I'm doing the work. I told my last boyfriend, I said, listen, sweet love, all I can do is get better. You tell me what it is, all I can do is get better. That's my goal, is to get better. I'm listening for the feedback. I'm not taking it too personal. I'm looking for is what I can do to get better. And if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for you. And I'm glad, that's another thing about being enough too in our culture we got to stop doing. Like when you separate from somebody, you don't have to tear that person down. You know, our goals, our missions, our values, our purpose just did not align. I release you to go on your way, release myself to go on my way. And that's that on that. That on that.
My motto is, and this is when I got it wrong in the working world a lot of times. This is my motto now. So when my folks hear it and they try to talk about it, don't I ain't talking about years ago when I was messed up. I'm talking about right now. But if I show up with integrity, I'm leaving with integrity.
That's it.
That's just it. Like we ain't got time to play with it. Like when I went through a divorce, my godmother told me, she said, I want you to do me a favor. And she said, I want you to protect her heart. And in the midst of everything that we went through, it was hard as
Mm-hmm.
all that to be intentional about it. See, it's one thing when someone gives you instructions and you have to be intentional about it because
Mm-hmm.
you're reactive about something. And so when you have to be intentional, so when you're protecting someone hard who's trying to tear down your heart, tear down your life, that's difficult, but you still do it. So when I show up for something, I'm showing up with integrity and I'm going to leave with that same integrity. How can
Yeah.
I say that I value somebody that when I'm leaving out the door, I'm ready to tear you down?
Right. Right.
That,
Really looks bad on you. Yeah. That's
how I
good.
love you, how I like you, it's not on the good days. It's about the days when we inconvenience, because those are the days that I have to inconvenience. Those are the days that I have to sacrifice to still show you, to show up and show you that I love you, even
Yeah.
when I don't feel like it.
Even when I don't feel like it. When I don't feel like it, okay?
Okay, okay, that's what we're doing. Okay. So we talked about, um, being enough, feeling like you're enough, knowing that you're enough. It starts with the healing process, and I think we use that word so loosely that we don't. We took away the value of healing, and
Wow.
so I think that's why so many people aren't interested in doing it, because you have unhealthy people saying that you need to heal like they healed, and now we're using it as a weapon.
Come on, false prophets.
So how do we, like, in when what are some things that people can do to know they are enough?
Sit down. Let me get it from right here. Matter of fact, let me get it from right here. I hope I'm not all my stuff down trying to get this right here. Look, to know. Number one, stop attaching your worth to existential things and people.
Mm,
Okay. And number two, you begin to see your own talents and your own qualities and your own potential. So you don't connect yourself to opportunities or people or situations that just don't serve you and you can't serve in it. You believe you are loved. Now, that one is vital because life circumstances, relationships with people, family, especially sometimes can make you feel like you're not loved because you didn't do something right or you didn't do something the way they wanted you to do it. You got to know deep down in your heart that you are loved. And if it doesn't come from anybody else, you know you loved from the inside of yourself.
mm,
Don't need to be, you don't realize that you don't need to be perfect. Man, like just smash the thought that I gotta be perfect. What I'm doing gotta be perfect. Who I'm with gotta be perfect. What I drive got like ain't nothing perfect, you know. Um, let go of people and belief systems and thoughts and responses, reactions that no longer serve you. It's outdated, it's old, it's not serving you well. Let it go. And then dream, dream again. Sit down with yourself and see your life in the future and give yourself to something to look forward to. And then put those things into action. Enjoy life like every day. Enjoy and then believe, share, and support. Share space. That's like a real big thing for me, especially in relationships. Like share space. One of my pet peeves is you invite me into your space and then you don't invite me into your life and don't make space for me.
mm.
I I'm just going. Well, back in the day, I would show out, but now, the difference between healing and showing out. Back in the day, I would show out. You got me
Okay.
messed up, but now I'm just like, I recognize you don't have space. I'm gonna move myself. because I need space. I need what I need. And if you've invited me into your life, you got to make space for me. You have to make space to see me, to understand me, to know me, and allow me to know you. Now, another pet peeve of mine is being with men. It's almost to a red flag fault of unhealed, or people who are not healed, people who aren't really ready for accountability. If I can't do anything for you, I'm not the woman for you. If
Mhm.
I can't, I remember dating a guy and he was driving and trying to open a drink at the same time. I'm sitting
Mhm.
right here. So you want to
Mhm.
open this Sprite? If you can't say to me, baby, open this Sprite, or if you can't just hand me the Sprite, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah,
sitting right
yeah.
here. You want to swerve all over the highway trying to open the Sprite and do it yourself. I, you just proved that you'll kill us all for the Sprite. So if you're going to invite me in your space, in your life, you got to make space for me. And then support. And that's how you know when you can support people. Like this space that we're in, we don't even know each other personally like that. But, we have goals, we have and we've done the work, and we're doing the work.
Right.
Because this is a journey. Every 10 years, every 10 days, every 10 minutes, there's going to be something else that awakens in you, and you got to knock that demon down. You got to put that fire out just to keep going. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay.
Ooh, you gave me a lot on that, so definitely I'm gonna have to go back and write all that down because that was beautiful right now.
Yeah.
One thing that you said that leaps out to me is that no, you said a lot. I ain't getting even go one thing. I think it is so important that it's about your vision. What goals you set for yourself. Sit down with yourself. What are the desires of your heart? And I think if we ever can have an honest conversation, because I'm big on honest, you're gonna hear me say that a lot, like honesty, honesty, honesty. In having a conversation with you, God, whoever you need to have with about your desires, about your vision, then you need to ask yourself, what responsibility comes with this?
Yeah.
And then am I ready to handle the responsibility?
That part. That
Because
part.
one thing that I had to do in life, especially when I realized that I wasn't enough, and then when I realized I was enough, is that there were some things that I was praying for that I knew if God blessed me with it, I would fumble it.
Yeah.
And so I stopped praying about it. There's certain
Yeah.
things that I ain't praying about in this season because I know I ain't ready for it. And I could be honest with myself and say, nah, we ain't finna do that, God. Because I know you real. See, because one thing I do know about God is that God will give you the desires of your heart when you least expect it. And when you have to make a intentional choice to accept it.
Mine, make
I'm
my
just
mental
saying.
come out, mine.
And so I read this thing. I read this thing from an unhealed person, and I know they're not gonna listen to the podcast, so they ain't gonna say nothing. But I listened to this meme that they had when they said, I'm tired of people misusing people who God intended to help you.
Mm,
And a lot of times, this is what happens. And that's where a lot of our prayers, a lot of our desires, a lot of our visions go unseen because the people that God has intended to help us are like God. God is genuine. God is kind. God is loving. See, God will love you in an unlovable situation. So He's going to send an angel to do that.
come on.
And normally, when somebody loves us, when we feel like we're not lovable, what we going to do? We're going to push them away.
Yeah. Uh, where was I? Because I think it was a Dear Future Wifey podcast. And that girl said this guy was showing up. They were like recanting a relationship. Oh, and I think this is the guy that said heal with integrity. His segment is really good. He Dr. Tolliver or Tolver, something like that. But he was talking about healing with integrity, and he was recapping the girl who broke up with him. And she was like, she had everything
Mhm.
she had prayed for,
Yep.
he was giving it. But she said, I ain't gonna lie, it scared the SHIT out of me. And
Hmm.
he was like, wait, what? She had to leave. God gave her exactly what she asked for. And she was like, nah, I'm good. You know, the whole "it's too good to be true" thing, and I really hate that for us. I really hate that for us. That's why I said the enemy is out here like dragging us through the mud because we don't feel like we're enough based on the themes of the enemy's camp, like the things that he put out there as enough. When God told you before you were formed in your mother's womb, he knew you and the plan that he had for you. You've been enough before you became, who you are. So feeling like you're not enough and then asking God for these things, praying amiss, and then he gives it to you. And you were like, well, I mean, I feel like I deserved it. I feel like I should have it. I don't believe it. I'm gonna have to let this good man go by me because it's too good. He planning trips, like he's showing up for me. He's doing everything I need him to do. This is making me nervous. I hate that for us. I hate that
And
for us.
and let me be honest. Let me give us a honest moment of truth peel or honesty peel. A lot of us don't deserve the goodness that we get in life. And what I mean by that is that sometimes when I hear people say they deserve something, normally they talk about it based on what they did in the past with somebody. It's not based
Mm-hmm.
on your right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you expect just because you treated a local joker as a king, and now you treat me like boo boo. You think I'm supposed to still treat you like a queen? Like where they do that at?
Yeah.
Like nah, we see
That's
that's
how
why I'm talking
important
about that
healing is.
recognition. You
That's
said
how
it again.
important healing is. That's how important healing is. So the local joker don't get what the king should have.
That that's all I'm saying. Like
How
that
important it is.
in healing to well, first of all, acknowledging that you have a trigger scar or wound takes so much strength. I admire people that go to counseling, that go to care, that go to therapy. However you do it, however you go about getting your healing, because everybody don't have the same journey. We don't have to go the same walk to get to the same destination or to get to the same journey. But however you do it, I take my hat off to people. Like I go buy you, what's your favorite drink? Let me go get it. Because what it took for you to be vulnerable mentally, spiritually, and emotionally to get to the place to say, I gotta do something else. It's like that's like, whoa. Like
Yeah.
we ain't got that self kind of aware like that.
And that's good stuff. Yeah. I need
Okay.
help.
Two questions, and I'm a bitch farewell because I done held you long enough. I apologize. Is being enough a destination or is it a journey?
It's absolutely a journey. Because if we're really honest, like we just said in a lot of these comments throughout this segment, there are going to be times where you're going to have to, realize in this moment, no, I'm not where I should be. I'm not enough to experience this or to have this or receive this. Don't mean you can't have it and don't mean you can't get yourself to that place, but it's a journey. Every day you wake up, you're reminding yourself, you're doing the work. You know what? It's a journey having those moments where you experience vacillating between whether I am enough or not, that's a journey. The day you decide and realize that I am enough, yeah, that is the destination. And when you reach that destination, it helps you travel through the journey a whole lot better. That's what I want to say.
Amen. Amen. Let me what's your cash app? Because that was a good one. Because you took my answer. You took my motherfucking answer, man. But
That's what I want to say.
I was definitely gonna say it's both.
Yeah.
Because there are some times that your healing starts as a destination and then you start uncovering more places that you need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes you through a journey, through a village, through a city, through whatever.
On the mountaintop, in the valley
Now,
low.
and a lot of times that's why it's hard for people to complete the process of healing.
It is.
Because one thing that I had to realize is that the issues that I had through my marriage, they didn't start in the marriage. It started when I was younger. It started with the trauma that I didn't even know was trauma or that I buried so deep and then I started uncovering. I was just like, well, hold the freak up. Like, we didn't come here for this. Like, we came here for the marriage. And so when you realize that concept, people stop because they don't want to open that Pandora's box of emotions. They don't want to open that
It's real
Pandora's
now.
box of feelings, of thoughts, and things of that nature. And that's scary. But I was so dedicated to wanting to heal. I said, Lord, wherever you take me, I'm willing to go because I got to heal. I don't want to miss out on nothing you got for me.
And that's the thing about being enough, again, in your respective rights, place, space. It is difficult when you open that box to start breaking down those walls and bringing up those things. It is. And some people can get right there and be like, you know what? This is it. Close the box. I'm just going to go ahead. I go. And that's their choice. That's their decision. And that's why we can't let the existential things define us. Because that right there may make that person enough for whatever life they need to have, whatever journey they're going to be on. Not going all the way. Hey, it is what it is. That could be what's fit for them.
Yeah.
And we have to learn how to, it's the other thing. We have to learn how to respect people's identity, people's personal space. Like they say, you born by yourself, you're gonna die by yourself. Like remember that when people got to go through this journey, when they got to work out their own soul salvation with fear and trembling, like just respect it. Just respect it. And that's healing too. When you ain't trying to save everybody, when you ain't trying to change everybody's mind, when you ain't trying to, project your stuff and your thoughts because of where you are, like that's healing too. When you can be like, I don't like it, but hey, I love you, bless you, whatever you need to do, that's for you.
I tell people all the time, I said, either I'm going to be the example on why you change or why you heal, or I'm going to be the reason why you heal.
Cool. Either way you gonna feel.
But either way, one, I'm going to be there while you heal. And the other one is I see you later. So the reason you heal, meaning you was too toxic, you was too whatever, I had to go. But you see what healing looks like. You see what that feels like, that vibe, that energy. The example meaning that we have established a relationship, if it's with my kids, my family, my friends, my whatever, like, and I stick around for that. But when it's all said and done, I don't play about this healing stuff
Okay.
because I know the other side of it. Not when I was in a place where I not only felt like I wasn't enough, I knew that I wasn't enough. I was imitating other folks
Yeah. Yeah.
because they had blessings that I thought that was good for me that I wanted. I was trying to do some stupid stuff that wasn't who God created me to be, or even that was in my nature, in my character. I'm like, boy, what the fudge cake would you do that for?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so all these things, when you feel like you're not enough, when you know that you're not enough, one of the things, and we're gonna sum this up, we're gonna close it out, and I'm gonna let you have the floor. But I always say that people who have dealt with not being enough and not feeling enough have empathy for other people who are in the same situation. Not only
Absolutely.
do they have empathy, but they can spot it out.
Yeah.
A lot of times people don't like the mirror that we put up to people because they're so used to looking out the window.
Mm.
Here's a
Hmm.
trait. Here's a trait that I know when I'm always around people that I feel like they know they're not enough. They always talking about everybody else, unwarranted. Always putting somebody down, always judging somebody else's situation, and it was unwarranted. Didn't nobody ask you for your opinion? You just got to blurt out and say, "Oh, dang, baby, like you that unhealed, you that unhealed." Like, what
And
satisfaction? I had to ask somebody sometime. I'm like, what satisfaction did you get out of talking about somebody that you don't even know?
hmm.
And
Hmm. I
then
wonder
they
how
got
long they
mad at
carry
me. They got mad at me. They said, "Oh, you sticking up for them?" Maybe I don't know them, but I'm saying that's unhealthy behavior. Like that's toxic. Like you messing up my whole vibe. I don't even want
Right.
to go out to eat with you no more. Like what are we
Right.
doing?
Because I'm not going to talk about nobody else this whole
Like
time.
that's you know what I'm saying. But that ain't I ain't the one to cuss. Okay, let me let you go on this. I saw today that you have posted guide me to therapy. Where do I start? Talk to me? What's that about?
So I get like inboxes and messages about people because again, my platform has opened up the space to begin talking about mental health. And it's not something many people are familiar with. They don't know where to go to even start with those resources. Like what exactly is counseling? What is having a therapist? Some of these mental illnesses, mental health triggers, all those things. And so I'm going to create a webinar to kind of walk people through what it looks like to go through the process of getting the help you need through therapy and getting those mental health resources. So to answer a lot of the questions that I get one-on-one through inbox or just in the Mental Health Monday lives, I'm just gonna create a workshop, a webinar, and then they can ask questions about, you know, things that they need to know that that I may not have covered, as well. So just opening up that space for people can. I'm saying go to therapy, go to counseling, go to therapy, but then it's like, how I do that? Where do I do that at?
And what do I do when I get there?
And what do I do when I get there?
Because
Because when I do talk to people, they was like, "What therapy gonna do? How they gonna help me?" In my skills class in counseling in my master's program, I'll never forget it. What I remember is Domino's pepperoni pizza because it was a night class and we had pizza in the night class, and we were having a conversation about children being molested. All I know is I saw pizza, and my professor was like, "Three, two, one, there go the tears." And I'm
mm,
like, first of all, why am I crying in front of my classmates? Like, we were supposed to be eating pizza. But in that moment, I had been triggered by the conversation of somebody molesting or hurting a child. And I'm like, I'm not going to see anybody that's hurt a child because I was 25 at the time. I didn't have the balance that I have now. Because at that time, I wasn't going, I was like, I don't know how to help somebody who's not a Christian. I didn't know how to help somebody who had molested a child or hurt a child. But in counseling and therapy, you don't get to choose that. You don't get to choose what the person has done and what they need help with. You just have to help this person, even if they
right.
are a predator, a molester, a murderer, whatever. And I was at 25, I was like, I ain't helping nobody that molested a child. And I just bust out into tears. Because now my situation was in this conversation. And he told us, he said, and that's why you have to deal with your stuff. If you don't deal with your stuff, that's gonna be the first thing walking in your office.
Can I say these two things and I'm gonna bid you farewell? I tell people all the time when people don't heal from what people when people do not heal from their trauma, scars, and wounds, they slowly start becoming what they went through. And I was dating somebody who was in an abusive relationship. She was physically abused, never dealt with that trauma. So she became mentally and verbally and emotionally abusive to me.
Mhm.
And when I called her out on it, and I told her, I said, "Hey, you are what you went through." Then she
Wow.
got defensive. Then she got all up in her feelings and was like, "You just trying to, you think you better than me because you went to counseling?" I said, "No, there's one thing about me. I'm genuine. I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell you nothing that is not for the betterment of who you are, what you were created to be, and how you need to go there. But you got to get some help."
You got to get
And
some help.
she was one of the people that could say I was the reason that she went to get healed. I ain't sticking around for that. The second thing is I tell people all the time when you want to go, people always say, I tried counseling, it just wasn't for me. And I tell them, okay, if you go get your hair done and the hairstylist don't do a good job, are you never gonna get your hair done again?
Come on. Good example. I'm going to use that one.
Or
I'm
are
going to
you
use
gonna
it.
are you gonna find another hairstylist?
That's it.
Same thing with a barber. Like you find the person that's beneficial to you that can put you where you want to go. The first thing you got to know where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, and this is what I've realized with counseling, a lot of people don't want to get healed.
They
They
lose the
want to
attention.
transfer. They just want to transfer their unhealthiness off to the people who gave it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to heal. You just want to transfer. You just want to make other people feel bad like you feel it. And I said, so you would never find the person that you're looking for because most counselors ain't gonna give you that ticket to go dump your crap off to somebody else.
Nope.
And
Nope.
so, I go back again. What honest conversations are you having with yourself? Stop getting stuck on because your hair was done bad one time. I ain't gonna never go again.
I've gone through several therapists until I got the one that I have now. Oh, the one I have now. I love her. I love her. I pay for therapy out of pocket. That's how, one, serious I am about myself. Because this last relationship, you know, heavily triggered me and about things that I didn't even realize could have been an issue. But I didn't
Hmm.
want to be like, oh, it's his fault. No, 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 no. I told her, listen, this is more about me than it is about him. I need to understand how I showed up in this situation. So I need to deal with some stuff that I thought maybe I dealt with or didn't know I needed to deal with. And so you have to be willing to put the work in. We spend money on all those things that make us feel like we're enough, that make us look like we're enough, but we won't invest in the things that will actually make us enough.
Mm,
And
mm.
that's what counseling will do for you.
Okay, mic drop. Let me throw it down. So
That's what counseling will do for
I'm
you.
gonna need you back on the podcast so we can talk about that, going to counseling, what that looks like, how that shapes up. But how can people get in contact with you, especially if they want to start that webinar when you start it up? How can they get updates for mental health Mondays and things of that nature?
Hey, come
Let's
on,
go.
Mental
Let's
Health
go.
Mondays.
Let's go.
So, first and foremost, follow me on Facebook, Marquita, Marquita. Last name Dorsey, D as in David, Orsey. That's my official. That's my official page. That's my official name. I don't do no nicknames on there. You'll see me. My professional headshot photo. Shout out to AI. But go ahead and
Okay.
follow me there. I do most of all of my communication about mental health and the things that I have going on from this space. It's just easier for me because it's just me. The webinar should be ready in 2 weeks. Seats are limited, so it's a first come first serve. The fee is on there. It's $25. But let me tell you something. That's small according to what you're going to get out of this webinar. My friend who is a therapist, she has a doctorate in marriage and family therapy. We talk all the time, and that's where I make sure what I'm putting out and what I'm saying is good. So I have wise counsel around me in that area as well. But I'm looking forward to it. I made that flyer last year, so I'm
Okay.
really just now getting to it. Uh, I am enough. I just doubted myself so bad when I made it. I was like, no, I can't. Listen, it's out there. The people need it. They inbox me and I respond immediately. So why won't I create something that responds to everybody at one time? But the best way to contact me is through my Facebook page. And if you need to direct message me, do it through Messenger. My work schedule is wide open in flexibility. That means I could be at work at any different hour. However, I'll respond to you as quick as I can. All right. And if you need coaching, that's going to be a whole different story. But quick questions, information about it, follow my Facebook page because that's where I communicate it.
Also, y'all get in contact with anybody. I'm letting you know that anybody who get in contact with you and saying they having a hard time paying that $25, one person, let me know. I will cash app you that $25 so they can go ahead and
Ooh,
get in there. So no excuses, no reasons why you cannot start investing in your mental health, whatever. The repercussions, the benefits from it is going to be priceless. Let's go ahead and get it. We're gonna get Marquita back on the podcast, but we thank you for blessing us. We got some nuggets. We got to go back 1 and 2 and 3 times to go listen to it because I got to write that stuff down.
write it down.
But is there anything that you would like to leave us about anything? The floor is yours.
May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, but we talk about mental health all year round in the light room. Listen, no matter if it's a cliche or not, when something is true, it is true. Your health is truly wealth. If you're not feeling well, if you're not mentally well, emotionally well, you won't be financially, physically, spiritually, any other way well. Invest in your mental health. It don't always have to involve finances. You can go for a walk. You can deep breathe. You can listen to meditation apps. There are so many resources in the space right now for you to advocate for your own mental health. If you need any mental health resources or anything that I can be of assistance with, contact me through Facebook Messenger. Again, if it looks like it's going to lead towards me having to really get down in there, because I am not a counselor, I'm not a therapist. I don't want to go the deep parts, but I am a coach. I'll get you to the place where you're safe enough and you're bold enough to reach out for counseling and for therapy. that I'll do for you. But take care of you.
And can we please get back on the podcast next month? Because I want to dive into the difference between counseling and life coach, because that's an interesting topic within itself.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Well, maybe if not next month, the month after, but and just let me know when you're free, and then we can make it do what it do.
Cool deal, not a problem. Again, thank you for having me here in this space. We appreciate you from the Light Room. Shout out to Let's Talk About It podcast.
You already know. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Ain't it, man? And we thank you. We bless you. We love you. And we just appreciate your honesty, your genuineness. And you have a wonderful day. We appreciate it.
Too, sir.
Peace.